Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to be keeping it simple, fucking stupid, right? I'll be going over S&P, NVDA, Bitcoin dominance, Solana, DOGE, the DXY, probably Bitfarms, Riot, MYRO, IO, just a couple random things towards the end like that. But it's going to be a little bit of a jam-packed video, keep it all in one. And yeah, so we'll get it started, jump right into it. Well, starting off on the S&P on the daily time frame. Now, what do we see here? Well, S&P is going after extension and extension on the Fibonacci, right? We pull up some EMAs. It is getting a little bit far away from the EMA, so we can definitely have some sideways, a little bit down price action soon, for sure. And let the daily 21 come back up and beat price action again. But all the EMAs are still pointed up, right? The bull market, the bull trend is still intact and is fucking healthy, and it likely is going to keep going for the rest of this year. Okay, keep it simple. Now, looks like the S&P wants 573, okay, as its next target. That would be another like 4.44% move from where it's at right now. It's pretty good for stocks, but we can definitely have some consolidation here soon. And I say that because money flow is coming down a little bit. VWAP bearish divergence. Okay, money flow is also bearish divergence, right? Because money flow is lower highs with higher highs on price action, right? But this brings me into last cycle, right? I mean, even the cycles before it too, it was pretty relevant. But we're just going to look at last cycle as an example. Last cycle started in March 2020, right? That's when the uptrend started, okay? But what do you see here? Let me make that a little bit cleaner if I can. You know, this whole way up. Money flow got thick and high, right? It came back down, almost reset. Maybe it did reset a tiny, tiny bit, and it came back up. Got thick again, came low again. Got thick again, came low again, right? Until the top, when it finally went red and got thick red, right? And this was the bear trend right here. Money flow was red and thick red. So right now, we're in a bull trend, right? We're likely going to keep grinding up for quite a while. Even though money flow is coming out, yes, that will bring short-term volatility to the downside a little bit. And maybe we'll continue having, likely, turn on some EMAs, little short-term corrections. An 8% move, that was earlier on in the cycle. We've gotten that last year already. We're probably somewhere like right here. We're going to, maybe we keep getting like 5% moves, 4% moves to the downside on the S&P. Maybe a 6% move, something like that. Right? Consecutive 5, 6, 4% moves to the downside to meet the 50 or 100 EMA on the daily, and then just continue grinding up on higher. This money flow, comes down a little bit, maybe resets a tiny bit, comes back in, gets thick again, grinds back lower, gets thick again, grinds back lower, right? Just like it did before. And it's done it plenty of other times on the ways grinding up. Okay, plenty of other times. It just brings in short-term volatility for the S&P. Okay? S&P looks very fucking bullish. I wouldn't be surprised by year end we see 573 plus, maybe even a 6,000 S&P. To be honest with you, my bets are a 6,000 S&P. 600 S&P 500 by year end. And that would be another like almost a 10% move from where it's at. Okay. And we can go to a weekly time frame really quick. Just look at what it's like. So even just more backup here. Money flow is thick as fuck and pointed up still. And money flow is at 37. It's pointed up and still thick. Weekly stochastic is still pointed up. View up is positive. We're likely going to cancel out this bearish divergence here. That could play out. Maybe we don't. But regardless, even if it does confirm, it doesn't mean much. Look at last cycle. It doesn't really mean much. What means much is the money flow. You got to pay attention to the money flow. Okay, it's still pointed up. The trend is still upwards. Equities will continue having a great time. People can try and call short-term fucking tops and shit all they want. They're probably just going to make themselves look retarded. Yeah, that's how it is. I could be wrong. And this could just come out dramatically from here and we top. That's also possible, but not likely. All the EMAs are still pointed up, especially the 21 weekly with the daily as well. Okay, now getting into NVIDIA. What do we see here? Similar look to S&P, or it's just a fucking grind up. This is more aggressive though. It's continuing to break Fibonacci levels. The next level to target is 153.97 for NVIDIA. Okay, that would be another almost 13-14% move from where it's at right now. Okay, and looking at daily 21 EMA, we are far away from it, so I wouldn't be surprised if we still get a little bit of short-term volatility contraction to meet the 21 EMA at least again before continuing higher. Okay, I'm going to roll that out. But overall, money flow is still thick. It is pointed out right now. And money flow, that is a bit of a bearish div, right? From price action making higher highs and money flow making lower highs right now. But that doesn't really mean much again with equities. Yet they pay attention to this. It's a very strong uptrend. Money flow can come in and out. It can go high and then get low again, and that acts as a little reset before continuing higher. Okay? Just like NVIDIA did right here. It consolidated for what? From like June all the way till January. Okay? Wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that happen again. Probably not as long. It's probably going to be shorter because that's usually how markets work. When you approach tops, consolidation periods get shorter and shorter. Okay, and the pumps get a little bit weaker. We're not seeing that yet on NVIDIA. Not quite yet, right? This consolidation period was from March till May. So yeah, that was a little shorter, but you know, it's been a pretty strong uptrend right now. Okay, going on to the weekly for NVIDIA. Money flow is still extremely thick and pointed up, just like the S&P as well. We're likely going to see an 18, 200 or 180, $200 NVIDIA by year end, right? Short term here, we can see 153 potentially, and maybe even 167. Yeah, NVIDIA looks fucking strong. This is a freight train. You should not jump in front of a freight train. Okay, so anything to be bearish about NVIDIA would probably be a break back under 97. Right, that would probably be a early sign of weakness for NVIDIA if it comes back down from where it's at right now, under $97. Okay, and back to a bearish case on the S&P would be this money flow going deep red. Would really start going deep red, and obviously price action first, you know, probably a break under 524, because then you would have to come back and test 494 again, and you could potentially break that important level, and that would be a lower low. right? You would break key market structure there. Okay, going on to Bitcoin. So the baby Bitcoin here, I will take this Fibonacci off really quick. Overall, you're still in the fucking range, and people are calling for tops. The bears just get louder and louder day by day. It's quite funny how stupid these fucks are. But maybe I'm the stupid one and I'm wrong, and Bitcoin does come back down to like low 50s or 40s or some shit like that. I doubt it though. This should look strong. Why? Because we're consolidating at all-time highs. The longer this period goes on for consolidation, the greater this rally will be. This next leg up if we get it. Okay? Just remember that. It's also a great time, in my opinion, to be buying altcoins or accumulating them. None of this is financial advice in this video, by the way, as well. Okay? Don't listen to a random guy on the internet. Okay. So what I see here on the daily time frame, yeah, we're under the 50%. It's weakness right now for Bitcoin. We can come back down and test 60K again. In my opinion, I don't think so because we had a deviation of this range. You likely don't come back down and test that bottom of the range again. But this is crypto. It's high volatility. It could happen. But I don't believe we break 56.5K. I believe that was the low of this consolidation period, in my opinion. And as you can see here, market cipher B momentum waves. Last time we got a green dot, almost. Last time was a 63. That was the low at 56.5K. Market cipher right now is at 58, negative 58. That this can print a green dot soon with a bullish divergence on VWAP. Okay. And daily stock has been fully reset since June 13th. I think we can get a strong bounce up back above the 50% retracement of this range. That would be strength. We'll be in the bullish side of this range. And you can start to target 72K again and possibly even 73,650, which was the all-time high for Bitcoin. Okay. Now, Fibonacci, we'll take it from this high to the low, move it over a bit. And what do we have here? We're finding support currently at the 50% retracement of this overall move up. Okay, we can even come back down and test 62K and the lower 60K, 60.2K around. Definitely possible, and find support there and chop around and grind up higher, right? The bearish case would be losing $60,193. That's the bearish case. If you break that, you're likely going to break 56K. Okay, so really the range has to hold for Bitcoin. Oh, fuck's sake. Sorry. Doxed my name there. All right. So 60.2K has to hold for Bitcoin. I don't think we get down that low, but it could happen. In my opinion, we find support here either at the 50% retracement or the 0.382 for Bitcoin before continuing on higher and grinding on out of this range. Okay. Now, going on to a weekly time frame, weekly stochastic is still pointed down. Okay, so we can still see some downside action in Bitcoin for this next week or two, possibly. Just grind on lower a little bit, Okay, so just keeping it simple there. But money flow is also pointed down as well. But we also seen this before, right? If we go back to 2020, getting into summertime, we were chopping around for a while, right? If I draw a little rectangle here, like really, May all the way till October, we just chopped around it for a while, and money flow got pretty low on the weekly before getting really fucking thick again. Bitcoin went ballistic, right? So could we be in, a choppy fucking range that started in can take it from here, March, early March, and we go until, August, September. Well, yeah, that could definitely happen, right? Before going haywire again on Bitcoin. Definitely could happen. I think Q3 and Q4 could be a very bullish time if we don't get a bullish time in the summertime. Okay. So that's it really for Bitcoin. Nothing much has changed. We're still in the overall range, but still the bull market trend is intact and it doesn't seem likely to break. Okay. Not unless key levels are broken like 56.5. Okay. Bitcoin dominance. So we have a bit of a trend line of support here that Bitcoin dominance has just been kind of grinding up on. Until we break that, then I wouldn't really look for too much weakness. But weekly market cipher B does have bearish divergences. This is curving on out. Okay, while price has been grinding on up. So what I see here on Bitcoin dominance, we're seeing a pretty decent resistance at the 50% of this range Bitcoin dominance has been in, right between 73.69% and 38.88%. Okay, so the 50% retracements at 56.29%. We're finding short-term resistance there since April 8th. Okay, but in my opinion, it does seem like Bitcoin dominance just want to break above it. Why? Because the weekly Stochastic is pointed up now. Money flow is pointed back up and thick. We got a green dot on the weekly and VWAP is positive. So this isn't the best sign for altcoins, but that doesn't mean altcoins have to really dump anymore, right? They could come down a little bit more, sure, but they don't have to go fucking crazy down or what people are making it out to be on Twitter, right? But Bitcoin is probably going to steal the show for a little bit longer and continue making bearish divergences on the momentum waves, and likely money flow can start to come out. Okay, but we're going to be approaching, if Bitcoin does break above the 50% with a weekly closure, in my opinion, we will test between 57.21% and 61.51%, which is a golden pocket level. Okay, I believe that will be the Bitcoin dominance topping. Okay, before getting a significant move down like it did back in January 2021 until May of 2021. Okay, believe it could top out here in the golden pocket before coming on down, and altcoins have an actual altcoin season. Okay, altcoin season won't happen until that happens, but it's getting closer, in my opinion. Solana. So I have here Solana, it broke out of a pennant, but overall, if we delete this pennant, it's still in a range. Okay, still in a range. And that there's even another range right under that fucking range too. We can make this one a different color. We'll make it orange. Okay, and going back to that trend line really quick, or pennant, sorry, for the pattern bros. If Solana breaks back into this fucking pennant, okay, it's chopping around under here. If it breaks back in this pennant, retest, it's going to go to the opposite side of this pennant and likely break out. Okay, it's going to, if it does it, it's probably going to break and hit around the mid 170s and likely break out and continue to the top side of this range towards $209. Okay, that's usually what happens when you break out of fucking formations or ranges, or deviate. Sorry, when you deviate from formations or ranges, you test the opposite side. Okay, now going back and deleting this pennant, just keeping it simple. What do we have here? Well, Solana is approaching strong support. It's testing the bottom side of this range towards 118. Can come and test it again, and you could test the inside of this range. Now, if we break below 118, as I said in my other video, we're going to get acceptance back in this range between $125 and $78. Okay. First target for it could be around $100, so to say. That would be almost a 50% retracement of the next range. If Solana were to break under 118 and get acceptance back in its first range between December 25th and February 29th. Okay, that previous range it was in before breaking up to 209. Overall, Solana is just choppy like everything else, and likely a great time to be accumulating, while sentiment is very bad, right? Sentiment doesn't reflect how these charts look. Okay, keep it like that. Going on to a weekly time frame for SOL, we did get a red dot 2 weeks ago. Okay, but the red dot doesn't mean too much because we're still in the overall range. Okay, and just finding support and trying to find support. Okay, the move market trend is still intact. You haven't made weekly lower lows. A first bearish indication can be a break of 118, but you still have support at $78. So really, until you break $78 in Solana, I wouldn't expect March 18th at 210, 209 top to be a significant top of this bull market. Going on to Dogecoin. So the daily on Doge, we're about to print a third consecutive green dot here on Doge at the bottom side of this fucking range it's been in. Okay, since March. And you have a wick to the downside under it and acceptance with daily closure back inside of the range. Likely, in my opinion, this could be a deviation. And what happens when you break back inside of patterns and ranges? You go and test the opposite side. Okay, first target obviously is going to be mid 17 cents, 17.174, 17.5 cents. Get acceptance above that, well, you're likely going to test the higher part of this range at 22 cents 8. Okay, for Dogecoin. Overall, Dogecoin looks like an amazing buy opportunity here, and the higher time frame trend is still intact. And historically speaking, as I made my video on Doge last weekend, or this past weekend, Doge is likely going to go over $1 this cycle, historically speaking. This just is a great opportunity, most likely, to accumulate some more Doge. Not financial advice, of course. Going on to the DXY. So the DXY here, looking at it on a shorter term time frame, it's finding resistance at the 0.382. Okay, and this fib is pulled up from the high of this current cycle to the low of this range. All right, it's finding resistance at the 382 at 105.38.4. Okay, and it's also in a bit of a rising wedge. If we can break under this rising wedge, get this daily stochastic to turn down, pretty steep, VWAP negative, well, we can see some red on the DXY and try and test like 104. We can get to around 103.8, okay, and the 0.236 like 103. That would most likely prove pretty bullish for equities and likely crypto. All right, if we can start breaking down the DXY, this could also be a daily lower high. You have a high here at April 15th. This could be likely a lower high June 14th. Okay, only if we break under 104 around 103.97 on the DXY. Okay, then that could be confirmed lower highs. And the downtrend inside of an overall range continues. Okay, going on to RAI really quick. Just want to look at the 2 week. So we have a trend line of resistance, right? And there's a second one as well. If we can break above around 1150, we're going to test 1271 most likely, and possibly even test 1422, which is the 50% retracement from the high of July to the low of April. Okay. All right, so 2 week time frame is printing a green dot, confirms in 8 days. Stochastic 2 week is starting to point up, and VWAP just went positive, and money flow is pointed up and just went green just a couple weeks ago. Riot looks like a great swing trade here. Okay, just keeping it simple. Now, Bitfarms, higher time frame, looks fucking beautiful. 2 week uptrend intact, VWAP positive, green dot confirmation, momentum waves up, and stochastic as well. Your next likely area of resistance is going to be at 391, which is the February high. Okay, after 391, we can start talking about almost a $5 Bitfarms, possibly getting up to around $6 for Bitfarms. Okay, just keeping it simple. Short term, Bitfarms can definitely see some contraction, going sideways, maybe a little bit down, but ultimately the trend is very strong and up here, and we're going to be testing this February high probably soon. Okay, money flow in the daily time frame isn't even green yet as well. And when this starts to go green and get point up and possibly start getting thick, well, what's likely to happen is you break above this 391 level and continue on higher, going towards $5 to $7, likely for Bitfarms. Now, some two bonus things I'm going to add in here. MYRO, it's a smaller cap meme coin, like 200 mils, something like that, I think. Maybe higher 100 mils. But overall, it's been it's bouncing off this higher time frame trend line, and it's finding acceptance there, right? You also are going to get print a green dot here in the negative 60 range, which is pretty good on the daily, and you're getting a wick off this trend line. Okay, and historically speaking, when you get to this trend line when MYRO gets to this trend line, it could chop around on it for a little bit, right? It could chop around here for a little bit, and ultimately it gets big periods up, right? So what's likely to happen is we can either test 31 cents again, or likely what happens is you test 44 cents and break to new highs, right? It doesn't have to look like that, but some shit like that, and then maybe it comes back down and meets its fucking trend line again, right? The trend line will be like up here, right? So a bit more of a little bit of a degenerate play as it is a meme coin, but the chart does look pretty good. That's what you have to take, right? Setup looks nice for MYRO. Going into IO, so I made a post on this during the weekend. I said to tweak it under the 50% retracement of this range it was in. It wasn't even too much of a fucking range, but between 650 and 448. And this could also play out as a bear flag here, a rising wedge. And that played out. The bearish case played out because the bullish case was continuing to hold above to 50% and breaking above 650 and possibly hitting 852. Okay, 852 is still a target. If it looks like this is a bit more of a bottoming structure here between 448 and 354, and why I see that is because money flow is starting to curve up, okay, with momentum waves as well. So that looks like a bit of a bottoming structure on IO. Could it come down some more? Sure, definitely can. Right, that can definitely happen. But money flow is saying otherwise. Okay, it's coming in. All right. So if you can chop around under this, orange range, get acceptance back inside this orange range, well, your first target's going to be 550, and then 650. Because remember, like I said, if you get something's back in the range, you're likely going to test that 50% level as a target one. Target two could be the other side of the range, would be at 650 for IO. Okay, so with that being said, guys, thank you. Okay, I'll be making more videos probably during the weekend. If you made it this far, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And bull market is still intact in my opinion. Not financial advice, but it's a great opportunity for me to be buying Dogecoin at 12 cents and hodling and targeting a dollar plus. But hey, hopefully everybody keeps making some fucking money and bull market's still intact. Don't let the FUD fear you out of your bags or buying bags. Okay, these jackasses on Twitter. And peace out, guys and girls. Peace.